doing fine. It's a living life.
Namaste, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Way Om Yoga. My name is Sarah. I'm going to be your instructor for this class, and what I have prepared for you all today is a yoga class that's going to address some of the pain and irritation associated with sciatica, more specifically piriformis syndrome. So what I hope to guide you through today is not only some stretches, some ways to elongate the muscles that surround the sciatic nerve, but I also want to take this one step further and help you strengthen the muscles that surround the sciatic nerve. As we all know that oftentimes when certain muscles are weak or maybe underutilized in any way, that can definitely lead to injury or any irritation associated with the sciatic nerve. So what I'm going to guide you through today is 3 to 4 yoga postures that are going to work mainly on the posterior side of the body. And that's just another way of saying the glutes, so the back side of the body, the glutes, the hips, the hamstrings, and just a quick anatomy lesson for you. So the area that I'm specifically talking about with the sciatic nerve, it originates at the lower back near the L4 region, and it runs all the way down along the glutes, through the hip, through the hamstring, where it terminates further down into the feet. So we're definitely going to be working into the back side of the body today. So strengthening, and then we'll follow that with some feel-good stretches at the end of the class. Now, for this class, you really don't need any props, but you'll see that I have a yoga bolster behind me, and I'll show you kind of the shape in the dimension of this prop. So if you have like a pillow or blanket, you're welcome to have that, especially as we take some stretches later on, but not a requirement if you don't have it. Otherwise, let's go ahead and make our way into child's pose. So starting off in child's pose to begin our practice, big toes come to touch, knees come apart. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the forearms down and alongside me, resting the forehead on the yoga mat, and we'll just take this moment to get acquainted with our breath. Just a simple way to anchor into our practice. And if you're new to my channel, if you're new to the Way Om, I want to welcome you personally. My background is also in healthcare in addition to yoga, so I really seek to leverage both knowledge bases, my background in Western medicine, but also my knowledge of the energetic body, right? Yoga philosophy, the yoga practice. I feel like that gives us a very well-rounded overview. So that's the energy I seek to bring into my classes. So I hope you're enjoying my content so far. Now on your next inhalation, my friends, let's go ahead and walk the fingertips over to the right-hand corner of the mat, getting into the left side body here, getting into that lower back region as well. Taking child's pose with some lateral stretching here, and we'll settle in on our next inhale. And exhale. And we'll stay for another cycle of breath on your inhale through the nose. And exhale. Beautiful. Let's walk the fingertips through center. We'll take this over on the left-hand side this time, settling in on your next inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Beautiful work. Let's go ahead and walk the hands back to center. We'll take one more inhale here in child's pose. Exhale, let that go. And just as a gentle reminder, you can always come back into child's pose at any point in the practice. You never need permission to revisit child's pose, okay? So from here, friends, we're going to go ahead and get into Well, actually, before we do our strengthening work, let's go ahead and come into tabletop pose. And we're just gonna take some hip circles, just nice and easy. Now, these could be as small as you'd like. They can be as exaggerated as you'd like. And I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate what this is gonna look like. So There's like no specific Sanskrit name for this. It's just an approach you can take with tabletop. So I'm just taking my hips in some circles in one direction. Again, finding that release not only in my hips, but in the lower back. Yeah, and we'll take a couple cycles just like this. Again, staying with that steady cadence of your breath. And then I'm gonna switch it up and go in the opposite direction this time. So towards the left. Good. And like I said, these could be as small as you'd like, as exaggerated as you'd like. The important thing is that it feels good, okay? Beautiful. And get a couple more rounds here going towards the left or whatever your opposite side was. Gorgeous. Now from here, let's meet back into tabletop pose. Now from here, we'll continue on with our strengthening work. So we are going to take some leg extensions from tabletop pose. What that's going to look like, I'm going to start off by balancing on my left knee to begin. So I'm going to kick my right foot back behind me. Notice that my right knee is bent. My right foot is flexed up towards the ceiling, and it's a very small movement, a very micro movement here. And all we're going to do is just take a couple pulses, just some presses up towards the ceiling. And we'll go for about 10, just very small micro movements. You're about already halfway through it. And don't worry, I'll cue plenty of breaks in between the strengthening postures. And it's not really about how high you can extend through that leg. What I want you to find is controlled movement, right? What I want you to find is that firing up of the posterior side of the body. So we're already getting right into it. The glutes, the piriformis, and the hamstrings. Okay, I think that's about 10 there. Let's go ahead and come back into tabletop and readjust as needed. We'll get this on the left side this time. So go ahead and extend your left foot back behind you. Left leg comes back, flexing through that foot. And we're just gonna take just a tiny bit of movement. I often find that simple postures, when done with intention, done with focus, they could be very advanced, right? They can have tremendous results. I try not to make things too complicated in my own personal practice. It's just simple and effective, right? Staying with that breath. I'm definitely feeling this. All right, let's go for 4 more. Good. Last 2. Gorgeous child's pose. A well-deserved child's pose before we continue on in our practice. Well done. Hopefully you feel that engagement already in the posterior side of the body. And you know, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, friends, that even if, you know, let's just say you've been drawn into this collective space, right? All of us can benefit from this practice, whether or not you came here specifically for sciatica management. I think we can all benefit from doing more posterior chain work, right? We often don't engage that side of the body as much as we should. Okay. So with that said, we're going to come back into tabletop pose, and what I'm going to have us do is some fire hydrants, okay? So I'm calling them yogic fire hydrants because we're doing them with intention, right? Kind of more of a moving meditation. So I'm going to have you once again balance on the right knee to start. We'll take this on the left side to begin. And then I'm going to have you just laterally raise the bent left knee off to the side, bring it back to center. So getting into the hip, getting into the piriformis here. And we'll go for 10 just like we did on the other side. All right, and again, staying with that breath, connecting each movement with your breath. Good. We've got 2 more, friends. Last one. Beautiful job. And then we'll briefly take this onto the other side. Again, feel free to readjust your stance if you need to. And then we'll take this on the right side. So again, fire hydrants, bending that right knee, taking that knee out laterally to the side. I'm definitely feeling this also in my hip. And like I said, I feel like I wouldn't be doing you any good if I was just kind of guiding you through just simple stretching. I think it's so important to balance mobility and flexibility with strength, right? All right, we'll go for 4 more, friends. Last 2. I'm definitely feeling the burn. All right, let's come back into one more child's pose, shall we? We can kiss that segment of this class goodbye. Come back to your breath. All right, we'll continue on in our strengthening practice. So let's make our way into downward facing dog. And before you come into down dog, what I want you to do is shorten your stance a little bit, probably more than you normally would, and bend your knees more than you probably would in downward facing dog, okay? All right, so I'm gonna take a shorter stance. I'm gonna bend the knees deeply. And what this does, my friends, a lot of times when the hamstrings are really tight, that puts a lot of strain on the lower back and obviously the hamstrings coming into downward facing dog. But I find that through shortening the stance, by taking kind of a deeper bend in those knees, we can elongate through the spine, we can release lower back tension without putting any undue strain on the posterior side of the body. So try that out now, okay? Taking the feet about hip distance apart. And yeah, if you want to move around a little bit, you're welcome just to pedal out the feet, find a little bit of movement here in your body. I'm just going to stay put here and enjoy this stretch. Coming back to your breath. Good. Now be sure that your feet are about hip distance apart. We're going to come into forward fold. So keeping those knees bent, we're going to walk the hands back until we're in our forward fold Uttanasana. Yeah, and if you want to just sway a little bit here, maybe grab onto opposite elbows, you are welcome to do that. Notice your breath. Beautiful. And then on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and roll up to standing. All right, so we'll continue on here with our sequence. So what I'm going to have you guys do next is we're going to play around with chair pose into goddess pose, and what that's going to look like. Just to give you a brief refresher of what chair pose looks like, I'm going to show you from an angle here. So sinking back into an imaginary chair pose. All right, so what I'll have you do here, we'll start center first. I'm going to have you sink back into that imaginary chair, and then again, using the strength of the posterior side of the body, we're just going to pulse for 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to step it out wide into goddess pose. Notice that my toes turn out just slightly. I think in martial arts, this is called stag pose. So whatever you prefer, goddess, stag. But again, we'll pulse for 3. We'll come back, turning the toes parallel into chair for 1, 2, 3. We'll step it wide towards the left. Toes turn out slightly. 1, 2, 3. Let's come back to chair just to finish it off. 1, 2, 3. Good. Let's come out of it. Bring the hands together at heart center. I'm getting out of breath. I don't know about you, but because I love you guys so much, we're going to do that again. All right, from here, on your next inhalation, let's sink it back into Utkatasana, chair pose. All right, 1, and 2, and 3. Step it wide for goddess or stag. 1, 2, and 3. We'll come back into chair. 1, 2, and 3. One more time. Step it wide, goddess pose. 1, 2, and 3. All right, one more chair. 1, 2, and 3. Oh boy. Alrighty. Amazing job. Strong work, people. All right, so from here, we're gonna make our way to supine. So on our backs, we're gonna do some just bridge lifts. So you can do this just a traditional way, which I'll show you in just a second, on your yoga mat. But if you're like me and you have some free wall space, I'm gonna invite you to take a variation of this, okay? So first, I'm just gonna show you what this is gonna look like from on your back. So making our way into a supine position here. You're gonna bring your knees about hip distance apart. And then we'll bring the arms down by our sides here, coming up onto the shoulder blades for support, pressing down into the feet. Again, engaging that posterior side of the body, so engaging the glute muscles, engaging the hamstrings. We're going to lift up. And notice I'm actually not going very far in my bridge. I'm holding here at the top, and then exhale, one vertebrae at a time. I'll show you one more time what that's gonna look like. So we'll come up into bridge pose, feeling that activation through the backside of the body, and then exhale, coming down. Now, like I mentioned before, if you have a free wall space like I do, I'm gonna turn my yoga mat this way, just so I have some support here. And you can utilize your wall space here. So I'm gonna come back onto my back. I'm gonna be like about an arm's distance length from the wall here. And just like I would be setting up for bridge pose, I'm gonna bring my arms down by my side, and then pressing my feet into the wall, I'm gonna press up into bridge pose. Okay, so let's go for, I don't know, let's go for 5 for this first one, okay? So either on your mat or utilizing the wall space, okay? So let's go for 5 really good ones here. So on your next inhalation, let's go ahead, lifting the spine up, holding at the top. Exhale, brings you all the way down. Good, and inhale. Hold at the top. Exhale, lower it all the way down. And again, 3 more. You guys are doing awesome. Good. Hold. Exhale, 1 vertebrae at a time. 2 more, nice and control. Again, feeling that activation through the back of the body, holding at the top. Exhale, we'll come down. Last time. Inhale. Hold at the top. And exhale, lower it all the way down. Go ahead and hug those knees in towards your chest. Good, rock side to side here. Strong work. Okay, so I'm gonna move my mat to the center again, just so you guys can see me better. But we're gonna go ahead and continue on here on our back. So congratulations, you made it through the strength training portion of this video, and now we're gonna get into some stretching, into some mobility, okay? So starting on your back, supine, I'm gonna go ahead and bend my left knee, place the sole of the left foot on my yoga mat, and all I'm gonna do is simply just extend through the right leg. So again, a really good stretch, right? This is exactly where that sciatic nerve runs, from that L4 region all the way down the leg, okay? If you wanna roll out your ankle, yeah, you're welcome to do that, or point and flex. Sometimes I just like to stay put here and enjoy the stretch. Now, the fingers interlace could be back behind your thigh. You can definitely keep a deeper bend in that leg if you prefer. You can bring your hands to the back of the calf. Some of you can reach for the ankle, maybe the toes, okay? So you have some options here with this one, but this is a really good stretch to add to your yoga practice, especially if you're having some agitation with that sciatic nerve. And let your breath be steady, kind of slow down the breath a little bit. So we did a lot of dynamic work just now, and now we're just going to enjoy elongating the muscles now. Let's stay for 2 more cycles of breath here. Nice deep inhales and exhales. Excellent. So now we're going to take this into a figure 4. So crossing that right ankle over the left thigh, hugging the knees in towards your chest. And again, I'll go over some options with you. You can interlace your fingers behind the left thigh for support. Personally, I like to take my fingers on top of my left shin. I just find that that gives me a little bit more opening in my hips. It feels really good to me. And of course, you can always extend through that left leg too. Okay, so find what makes sense for you. Play with your options. And this setup, guys, it could be just like this, right? With the sole of the left foot on the ground. All right. So take what makes sense for you. Make adjustments as needed. Again, another wonderful stretch to add to your yoga practice. We're just getting into all those regions that we just worked. And we'll hold here for 2 more cycles of breath. And again, friends, I hope that this is a class that you can revisit as many times as you need for relief, something that you can add to your yoga practice, right? Just to be more proactive, just to, maintain, to manage, right, our body, keeping our body in a state of equilibrium to hopefully prevent pain from flaring up. With that said, friends, let's go ahead and uncross the ankle. Let's hug the knees in towards our chest, rocking side to side here. Maybe taking some small circles in one direction, if that feels good to you. Good, and then we'll reverse, take it in the opposite direction. So we will go ahead and get all of that on the left-hand side this time. So the sole of the right foot will come down onto the mat. We'll extend through that left leg. And again, same options. You can keep like a deeper bend in the left leg, the extended leg. You can roll out that ankle if you prefer, point and flex. Good. And again, just taking whatever option appeals to you. Not forcing anything to happen. Good. And we'll continue to stay here for 3 more cycles of breath, starting on your next inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. On your next inhalation, let's cross our ankle over, taking that figure 4. And again, playing around with the different shapes that you can take in this pose, revisiting some of your options here. And basically, friends, this is just pigeon posture, but on your back. So from a supine position. So this is great also if that knee joint is just a little tender. So once again, we'll hold here for 3 more cycles of breath, starting on your next inhalation. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale. Let that go. We'll hug the knees in towards our chest one more time here. Rocking side to side. Good, good. All right. So we just have 2 more postures, but we're gonna come to seated. So however way you wanna get there, you can roll onto one side and use your hands to press yourselves up. You can just simply rock up to seated, whatever you prefer. And this is where the bolster, pillow, blankets, whatever you have may come in handy. So actually I'll face this way so you guys can see me. So I'm gonna place my bolster cushion back behind me, and I'm just gonna sit on the very edge of it here. And then I'm gonna bring the soles of the feet together. The knees will come apart for bound angle pose. And for this posture, guys, I want you to think of how long can you keep your spine as you start to hinge forward, right? And you should be feeling this obviously in the inner thigh, the outer hip. This should be a nice release for the glutes, the posterior side of the body. And yeah, just not getting too fixated about, like dropping your chest all the way to your feet or to the mat, but just keeping that spine nice and long, finding that sensation in those areas that I just mentioned. And it's okay if you want to hang the head heavy here, bringing the chin towards your chest, and that's fine too. And just finding stillness here. And you may find with each cycle of breath, you may just allow gravity to take over. Things will start to soften a bit. Things will start to deepen a bit. Good. And let's just stay here for one more inhale. And exhale. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and come back up to seated. And then from here, yeah, let's just take some windshield wipers just for a counter pose. So we'll bring the feet about hip distance apart, about as wide as your yoga mat. And then we'll just lean back onto the hands and just, allow those knees to go side to side, like windshield wipers on a car. And yeah, if you need to get off your prop to make this happen, that's fine too. Okay. All right, we got one more pose, friends. So a seated forward fold. So I'm gonna show you option 1. You can stay seated on your bolster, your pillow, your blankets as we start to hinge forward here into forward fold. Something I did though that I really enjoyed was placing my prop underneath my knees. So keeping my knees bent here. I don't know, I feel like that allowed me to find a little bit more sensation in the hamstrings without compromising, the overall integrity of this posture. So as you're ready, we'll go ahead and make our way into forward fold. And again, just keeping the spine nice and long. You can rest your forearms on the bolster. If you have like a yoga block or something that you want to use to support the forehead, you can do that too. And again, just maintaining as much length as you can. Finding that gentle release in the hamstrings, in the lower back. And again, we'll just stay here for one more cycle of breath, starting on your next inhale through the nose. And exhale. Beautiful job, friends. From here, we'll slowly make our way back to seated. Now, in this practice, guys, I did not include Shavasana or guided meditation, so I'll leave that up to you how you would like to end your practice. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you've cultivated strength. I hope you've released tension, any agitation around that sciatic nerve, and I really hope that you'll revisit this practice time and time again, just for overall maintenance, right? And pain management. As always, guys, thank you for your attention and your intention of practicing with me. And until next time, namaste.